Test, 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 test. Apple. Louder, louder, louder. Oh, good. Hopefully it does not peak. Okie dokie. So, first, a recap. Our main character, Catania, is on his way to battle with his, I guess, Overwatcher, Windira, and they're on their way to wait to meet Sanguinius. Okay. Number 2. Part 2. We get something to drink. Okay. We had many opportunities to talk during the onward passage. It wasn't taken in a legion ship. Those were in demand for the real business of war. But it had indications of links to them. Its outer hull was rust red, and the interior spaces were more ornate than I was used to. It was the little things that stood out, the polished bronze finials on the stairwell railings, the glass paneled lanterns hanging in place of raw lumen tubes. They cared about how things looked, and I liked that, having spent too long on stripped down, battle ready army cruisers. The crew were entirely human, by which I mean there were no space marines among them. Wydera told me most of those serving were Ballites, which interested me. Bow, bow. They didn't look very far out of the ordinary. I thought some of them might have 2 heads or 15 fingers, but I couldn't see much sign of mutation. Maybe I thought they'd fixed the rat poisoning, which was pretty much the only thing I knew about the bowel system, besides the fact that it produced blood angels. They were polite enough and spoke in a way that I could understand, and seemed reasonably content with their lot. Plenty had very pale skin, but then working on a void ship could do that, graying out even the darkest of complexions due to lack of natural sunlight. Tried to make myself useful. I tried to eat a bit less and get at least some sleep. I took some notes, but not many, because I still had no idea what I was expected to be producing. A chronology of the actions. Better to get a historian for that. Propaganda for the crusade. An iterator would have been preferable. I'd made my reputation, such as it was, on flimsier foundation. People, characters, flaws, and gossip. I worked hard not to let my doubts show too clearly. Wydera seemed happy enough with how things were going whenever we met, which was at the end of the final diurnal watch. Most cycles. We'd eat in one of the officers' refectories, surrounded by the hum of conversation and the clatter of metal trays, ignored by everyone else. You'll meet him, of course, she told me. I want you to meet him soon. That made my stomach twinge. A Primarch? I heard about them, written about them, but never met one. Of course I hadn't. No normal met a Primarch. What's he like? I asked. What's he like? Hell's what a stupid question. The worst kind of question. Wydera sat back in her chair, drumming a finger idly on the tabletop. Oh, then, she said, now you're asking. I wondered if she was trying to phase me, build it all up so I lose what little remained of my composure, but I don't think she was. There was a genuine look of almost rapture on her face, like someone trying to convince you that something was beautiful or precious or outstanding and struggling to find the words. I mean, ignore the wings, she said, if you can. They're the most striking thing about him, but they're not the most important. Ignore the wings. His legion does. They're tolerant of physical variation. They've had to be. And it's just another weapon, really. Another power he has. But it shouldn't be possible, I know. But it's there, they exist. If you just stare at them, make something of it, you'll insult him. I don't want to do that. He might like you, he's kind, at least some of the time he is. Surprisingly so, given what he has to do. He's patient and intelligent, extremely intelligent. I wouldn't try to match wits with him. I wasn't planning to. He doesn't respect weakness, though. None of them do. They come from a hard world. They dismiss anything that can't match up. Great. Just look them in the eye. They care about the way you carry yourself. So clean up, lift your chin. How much do you know about the Legion history? Some. I mean, plenty still classified. For a reason. They had a troubled past, but it's over, and they're an exemplar now. Not something to be ashamed about. I didn't know there had ever been shame. All I knew at that point was the old broad strokes account that the Legion had been under strength and had underperformed before they discovered the Primarch. He'd remade them, boosted the numbers, improved morale, and now the Ninth were paragons, among the very best of the Emperor's elite, spoken of in the same breath as the Lunar Wolves and the Ultramarines. I was so very ignorant then. I had no idea just what creatures the Legiones Astartes were, least of all what a Primarch was. Had I done so, maybe I would have bailed, run back to Ashelon in fresh disgrace. But I couldn't. We were in the warp, hurtling towards my appointment with these people, and I had only myself to blame. Ignorance is a virtue in my line of work, I said. I want to get first impressions, have no preconceptions, start from scratch. Why dare smirked? Is it now? She said, finishing her food and pushing the tray away. Then I'll expect the finished product to be worth the wait. But if you fancy filling in some gaps, just in case, there are vid books in the ship's library. She got up. Think about looking at some. We're going to a dangerous place. I did that. I researched what I could. I'm not sure how helpful it was. So much of what I could find was censored or just rehashes of propaganda we all seen on the Crusade update reels. The angels of blood, splendid gold and red, warriors of the Emperor's glorious vision, the harbingers of a new age of fulfillment and progress. They looked the part, I had to admit. Even when they were viewed on tiny screens, you could see how imposing they must be on the battlefield. The crimson armor was statement enough, hard to conceal, decorated richly, a gauntlet thrown down to their enemies. We're not hiding, we're in full view, and we are coming for you. I couldn't concentrate. I'd lie in my bunk during the nominal noctis watches, staring at the embellished ceiling and listening to the creaking of the decks. I remembering that we weren't allowed to pray anymore. Pills didn't help. When I got like this, the only solution was to escape, to run away and forget about what I was supposed to be doing. And that was the one thing I couldn't do now. I felt trapped, hemmed in by vicious giants in ceramic alloy armor, and I hadn't even met them yet. As I dozed fitfully, I thought of our master. I wondered, I thought of their master. I wondered just what the wings would look like and how I would avoid staring at them. I wondered how a prosecutor of the greatest war to be launched by our species could ever be kind. I wondered how I would keep my chin up when I met him, avoid stammering and making a fool of myself. They must have had blood vessels and sweat glands. The president propaganda reels, but still, they were partly, mostly human, weren't they? In the few hours of proper sleep I got, I'd see him there, hovering above me in a mist of red, smiling benignly at me, blonde ringlets floating in a soft wind. I tried to apologize, to tell him that I didn't really know how I ended up in this position, and he'd reach out with a single finger and bring my prattling to a halt. He'd tell me he understood. He'd tell me that I was a gifted soul, that I'd merely been unlucky in the past. And then he'd show me what he was planning and take me into his confidence, and I would start to write again, words spilling out, and all would be glory and satisfaction. I would wake up flushed and clammy, and I'd be in that cramped hold on my own. It would all be ludicrous. He wasn't some saint, some superstitious icon to be pawed at and prayed to. He was a man, or something like a man. He was a master tactician and strategist whose conquest deserved to be chronicled. I was there to perform a service. I just didn't know if I could do it. It was a relief then, as well as a cause for fresh anxiety when we dropped out of the warp at last. I felt the withdrawal of the yellow ages and took a deep breath, as if that transition had somehow made the air on board fresher. Wydera summoned me up to the main observation deck for the run into the ballast system's inner core. The warp shutters furled up, exposing high arches span. More than one ingestion. URL. What? Did it stop? What? What? And we're back. Okay. Continuing on. Okay. Keep going. Where was I? Yes. The warp shutters furled up, exposing high arches spanned by thick, arches in the string.